Hello everyone, Ismail is here. Today we're going to start the last lesson in Module 8, 8.3, using special factors to solve equations. We have some questions. You can use a special, or let's say we call them a special cases to solve the. Here we have two questions. You can try to solve them by yourself, and if you have a question, you may ask me, and you can find all the lesson on alfaramat.com. Now, let's start with the lesson. Here, let's recall some properties that we learned them before. First, let's recall if I have x plus y and x plus y, I can combine these two together, okay, to write them as x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. And if we have a negative, we can square the first term, x squared, and we can multiply x with the second term multiplied with 2, and then we can square the second term. It's similar to this one, except the first sign here is positive, the first sign here is negative. Now, also, we take if, let's say, have x plus y or x minus y, if they have different sign in both brackets, so I will write the answer as x squared minus y squared. It's only the situation. So if you look here to the factoring, now if I ask you if you have a questions look like this one, you can factor this by returning to its original way, which is x plus y squared. Or if we have x squared minus 2xy plus y squared, we can get it back to the original x minus y, both of them to the power of 2. Or if x squared minus y squared, it can be written as x plus y times x minus y. Now, if you look here, maybe you'll say, teacher is confusing. How can I memorize all of these data? Okay. Now, you don't have to memorize all of these data, actually. You just need to memorize what you learned in the previous. This is what the only thing that you need to recall. Because everything here, as you can see, it's returning back to the original way, to the original function, as you can see here. Because x plus y and x plus y can be written as x plus y squared. And this one also can be written as x minus y squared. So that's what you see here, x plus y squared, x minus y minus y squared. It's this one here. Now, let's start. Take the perfect square trinomial. What is the perfect square trinomial? The thing that we explained now, which is we have a squared, b squared here, 2 times a. So we can write it a plus b and a plus b, which means a plus b can be written as a plus b squared. The same thing here, but here the only thing is the sign is negative because we have the first sign is negative, so both the brackets should be negative, and the final bracket will be a minus b to the power of 2. Let's give an example, like this one here. Look to this example. Here is 1, here is 6, here is a 3. So as you can see here, this is a perfect square because here is 6 and here is 9. So we can write it as x plus 3 and x plus 3. We know that the factors of 9, what are the factors of 9? The factors of 9 is a 3 and a 3, which if you add them, you get 6. So the first bracket will be x plus 3, and we can combine them as x plus 3 to the power of 2. See how it's easy? Same. Same thing if I have, look here, just ignore this one for a while. Now, let's go to this question here. Same thing. The first sign is negative. Now, I need to find the factors of 25 to get, if you add them, to get 10. So we can say 5 plus 5. If you add them, you will get 10. Okay? Sorry. If you add them, you get 10. Now, my bracket will be x minus 5 because the negative. Now you can combine them to get x minus 5, all of them to the power of 2. This is the rule, how we can solve, or how we can, let's say, factor the perfect square. The perfect square means if you have two numbers, these two numbers should be similar, which means if this number here, which is c, if c is a factor or is a number can you find a number if you multiply it by itself to get C? And if you add this number to get B, so we call this one as a perfect square, which means another example, if I said 64. Now the 64 is what? Is 8 multiplied with 8. And 8 multiplied with 8. If I add them together is equal 16. Now I can write a function x squared plus 16 plus 64. So this is my quadratic if I have this is a perfect square trinomial. So I can factor this one by x plus 8 to the power of 2. Okay, I hope you understand that. Similar things here. If you look, let's go back here to this question. Similar thing. If I have here, this is only x. In this situation, it's only x or a. Here, if I have a number beside the x, so this number also, okay, also it could be squared. How you can remove the square? You take both square for c and x as a common one here, as you can see. Cx, both of them to the power of 2. And you just complete normally for everything. But the change will be in the 2 bracket because here I put both of them in one bracket. So when I write the x, it will be cx here. Then I will get this one. Maybe it's confusing, but I'll give you an example to make sure you understand. Now, look to the first example here. So factor completely the following quadratic. Now, if you look here to the first quadratic, we have 4x cubed, we have 24x squared, we have 36x. Now, first thing, x is a common factor from the 3 terms. So the first thing that you need to do is taking away 1x from each term. Okay? Now, if I need to take x as a common factor, okay, if I take x from the common factor, my function will be x squared minus 24x and plus 36. Now I need to find also a common factor between all of these numbers, and the common factor is 4, because if all of these numbers can be divided by 4, so it will be 4x here. So 4x will be x squared minus 24 divided 4x plus 36 divided. So that's what you see what's happening in the first step. The first step, I took x as a common factor, and I took 4 as a common factor. Now, can we factor this? Yeah, we can factor this. And we know this is a perfect square. Why a perfect square? Because 9, both number will give you 6, right? And because the first sign is negative, so my bracket should have x minus 3, x minus 3. So both of them, if I combine them, it will be x minus 3 to the power of 2. That's what you see here. That's the final answer. Okay. So x minus 3, or we can say 4x minus 3 to the power of 2. Now, let's factor this one, the other one. 64 and 16. This is what I solved just now. It will be 2 bracket, 2 x's, 2 plus, because b is a plus. Now 64, the factors of 64 is 8 and 8. If you add them, you get 16. So now this one is 8 and 8. Now because they are repeated, so x plus 8 to the power of 2. That's how we can solve the question. Try to solve these questions, but let me solve this question for you. So first step, take the y as a common factor. So y from each. So let's take y from each term. So 2y to the power of 2 plus 12y plus 18. Now, take a common factor a, okay, between all of this. So 2, 2, 2. So 2 is a common factor. Now, 2y, it's equal 2 over 2 is equal 1, y to the power of 2 plus 12 over 2 is equal 6y plus 18 divided by 2 is equal 9. So now this is a perfect square, and we know the perfect square, the common factor of 9 is 3 and 3. Now, let's write the question. Now, keep the 2y, don't change it, 2y, open 2 bracket. So we write x and x. and here is positive, so I have to write positive and positive, and the two factors are 3 and 3. Now, can we combine them together? Now, keep the 2y same. Now, we can write x plus 3 to the power of 2. Easy? I hope it's easy. You can solve this one by yourself, and if you need any help, you can just ask me. Okay? Now, let's go to the difference of 2 square. Now, the difference of 2 square, as you can see, it's about if we have a squared minus b squared, so both of them a squared or b squared minus b squared, we can write it in two brackets with different sign. So a it will be a, b it will be b, and same thing here, a it will be a, b it will be b, but with different sign, like this example here. So if I have x squared minus 9, now, x squared minus 9, I can open two brackets and I can write x, and the rule said one is positive, one is negative. So one is positive, one is negative. Now, what are the factors of 9 that they are repeated? The number that is repeated, which is 3, 3. So write 3, 3. So that's the first one. Now do the same for the second one. Now, 4, as you can see, to the divided by 2, divided by 2 is equal what? Is equal to. Now, if I need to rewrite the question, okay, if I need to rewrite the question, it will be 2x, 2x to the power of 2 minus 9. Now, how can I rewrite this one? So it will be 2x and 2x here, and 9 is a 3 and 3, so I can write 3 and 3, and I can write with a 2 bracket. Same thing for this one. 9x divide by 2, or sorry, not divide by 2, okay? 9, okay, which is the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. So it will be 3x, both of them are squared, minus 1. So this one is A, this one is B. Now, if I need to open two bracket, so A is 3x here, A is 3x. You put plus here, negative here. B is 1, here is 1. So that's what you see in the first bracket here. So this is the rule that we are following, which is c squared x squared. So it will be cx plus d, cx minus d. This is the difference of 2 squared. Now, if you look to the examples, factor each difference of square. Now, if I have x squared minus 49, we know that 49 means 7 times what? 7 times 7. So I can change 49 and I can write 7 squared, because 7 times 7 is equal to what? 7 squared. So now change 49 to 7 squared. So x squared minus 7 squared. Now this one is difference of 2 squared, so I write it x plus 7 and x minus 7, which is the final answer. Now, let's do the same thing. Let's do the same thing for question number B. So as we can see here, 42 can be written as 7 times 7, which means 7 square. Now let's rewrite 49, 7 and the cube, both of them to the power of 2, minus. Also 4 can be written as 2 times 2. Now 2 to the power of 2, so it will be 2p to the power of 2. Actually, what I'm doing here, the thing that I'm doing here is to find two numbers multiplied by itself, okay, to get the answer. Okay, find two number to get the answer. Which means, what's the two number that give me 49? It's 7. So I have to replace 49 to the 7 square. What the two number give me 4? So I have to replace 4 with 2. Now, the rule said, if you remember, the rule said, if we go back here, it was cx plus d and cx minus d. As we can see, the first one here is cx and the second one here is 2b. So now my bracket will be 7q for both of them. 7q, 7q. And here it will be positive, here it will be negative, and here it will be 2p, and here it will be 2p. Okay? So that's the answer. Now, Let's go to the second or the last one here. It's your turn. You can try solve these two by yourself. If you need, you know that 144 is 12 times 12, right? That means it's 12 squared. So you can change x squared minus 12 squared. You can do now this two bracket, x plus x minus 12 and 12. See how it's easy? Same thing here. 81 is 9 squared. What's the two number that give you 8? 81, which is 9 squared. What's the two number that can give you 9 is a 3 squared? Then you can complete factor the difference of 2 squared. Now, solve the following equation with the special factors. Now, what I need to do, I need to find x. I need to solve to find x. If you look here to this equation, 4x squared plus 12x is plus 9 is equal 0. First, try to factor using the special things that we learned, which means 4, what's the two numbers that give me 4? It's 2 squared, right? Now, do I have something that give me two numbers give me 12? No, I don't have. But I have, or let's say I know that it's 4 multiplied with a 3 can give me what? 12. And 4 can be, it will be 2 squared, right? Or I can say 2 times 2. 9 also can be written as 3 squared. Change the first step, analyze your quadratic, which means if you can find numbers that you can simplify, try to simplify them first. After you do the first step, which means 4 can be written as 2 squared, as I told you, that's the first step. Then I told you then 12 can be written as 3 times 4 or 2 times 2. So 3 times 2 times 2. Then 9, it can be written as 3 squared. Now, if you remember, we can do a grouping. Do you remember how we can do the grouping? It's similar to the grouping, which means if you look here, a squared, or let's say if you remember, okay, let me show you the rule. If you go back here, it's the perfect of square. Okay, here. If you look here to this rule, if you look to this rule, c squared x squared minus 2cdx, which is c times d, and here is d squared. We can write this one as cx minus d and cx minus d. So if you follow this one, you will be able to solve the question perfectly. If we go now back to the question, look here. So 2x squared, it will be 2x plus 3, and here it will be 2x plus 3. And because 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3 is repeated bracket, as I told you, if we have a repeated bracket, we take it one time. Now we solve this one to find x, which is x equal negative 3 over 2. Now, let's do the same thing for question number B. 25 can be written as 5 times 5. You know that? 5 times 5, or let's say 5 squared. Now, let's write the question. 5 squared, x squared, or let's say let's put them in 1 squared, which is the bracket. 5x squared minus 1. Now, we know that this is difference of square, so let's open two bracket. So the first bracket will be 5x, the second one will be 5x. The first one will be negative, the second one will be positive, or let's say positive, negative, it's up to you. Then we have here, it should be 1, and here should be also 1. Now, what you have to do, the thing you have to take each bracket equal to this bracket with 0 to find the zeros. So now, 5x plus 1 equal to 0, and 5x minus 1 equal to 0. Now minus 1 for both sides. So 5x equal negative 1 over 5 over 5. Now x is equal negative 1 over 5. Sorry, over 5. Okay. Same thing here, but let's do it fast. So it will be x over 1 over 5. So that's how we can solve this equation. We can do the similar way for this equation. So I will just do the first step. You can do the next one. So as you can see here, 25 can be written as 5 to the power of 2. 10 also can be written as 2 times 5. But 2 and 5 can be simplified. No, we can't simplify. So we're not going to use it. Now you can just try to simplify the question by rewriting or following the rule that we learned. It will be now 5 squared and x squared minus 2 multiplied with 5 multiplied with, let's say, multiplied with 1. Okay, it's fine. It's multiplied with 1x. Now, plus 1. So this, now the question, it's look like the formula that we learned in the beginning. Now, you can just put two brackets. So the first bracket will be 5x, the second bracket will be 5x. The first bracket will be positive, sorry, negative. This is a perfect square, so negative and negative. And this one will be 1, and also this one will be 1. Okay, now, because the bracket is repeated, so we take it one time to find the 0. So 5x minus 1 is equal to 0, plus 1 plus 1. Oh, okay, you can find it, which is x equal 1 over 5. You can do the same way for question number 9, and if you have a question, you can ask me. Now, here are some questions. Practice. Try to practice by yourself, and if you need anything, I am here. That's it for today. I hope you learned, and see you inshallah next time. Bye bye.